What advice do you have for people that are social drinkers? They like to go out every once in a while and have a drink. What advice do you have for them when they're, when they're about to get in the car and drive, or when they're being pulled over and maybe arrested for DUI?
Well, those are two different questions. First, don't drink and drive.
Okay.
Okay. It is not illegal to drink and drive, and we have to pound that into juries sometimes because Matt has done such a good job indoctrinating them that don't drink and drive. Alcohol and driving don't mix. It doesn't matter if you only had one drink. Well, that's not true. But having said that, I understand how the system works. I understand what the cop's going to think when he pulls me over and smells that alcohol in my breath. And I know I'm halfway home to the jail cell by then, simply for that reason alone.
Right.
Everything else he sees is going to be colored by the fact that he smells alcohol in your breath. Personally then, my wife is a teetotaler, thank God. And if I have a single drink, if I have alcohol in my breath, she drives.
Okay.
I don't need an officer smelling alcohol in my breath. And I would suggest, if you're a social drinker, find some other way than driving, if you can. Having said that, and if you do get stopped, it's a complex situation again. What would be my advice? First of all, right off the bat, don't flunk the attitude test.
Okay.
And I think you know what I mean.
Right, yeah.
Don't have an attitude. Be cooperative. Their cops are human beings. They don't appreciate it if you don't submit to their authority and do what they say and be nice about it. So be respectful. Follow his directions as much as possible, and I'll get to that in a second. But don't flunk that attitude test. Not only is it going to upset him, it's going to color what he sees, and it's going to color what he puts in that police report.
Yeah. Again, you're dealing with a human being, and if you
You're
piss them off, you're not going to be in a good way.
Yeah, and most police officers I've encountered, not in the field necessarily, but as an attorney, don't like having their authority challenged, and they don't, there's a saying in the police departments about administering field punishment, such as putting the cuffs on a little too tightly so it's painful for an hour or so, being a little rough, maybe, there are things that can be done to adjust attitudes, as well as having a different slant on the facts.
Right.
So don't flunk the attitude test. Secondly, that doesn't mean when I say be cooperative that you have to do everything he says.
Okay.
You have absolutely no legal requirement to take the field sobriety tests. Don't. I don't care how sober you are. Don't. You're not going to pass them.
Yeah.
They are not passable. They are simply 3 exercises the officer uses, and he decides what he wants to do with those. So if you do well, it's not going to look that way. If you do badly, it's going to still look bad. I mean, you're not going to pass.
Okay.
There's no saying among experienced DUI attorneys, and that is you cannot pass the field sobriety test. It is not passable.
No.
So there's no legal obligation to do it. Don't do it.
Okay.
But be respectful about it. Say thank you, but I'd rather speak to an attorney first, or whatever.
Right.
But be cooperative. When he starts asking you questions, how much have you had to drink, where were you, what have you, what did you drink, when, where, I would suggest again, respectfully ask to speak with an attorney first. Now he's going to tell you you don't have a right to an attorney, and surprisingly he's right.
Really?
It's one of those little constitutional rights that went flying out the window in DUI cases. You don't have a right, so don't argue it. He's right. But that doesn't mean you have to answer these questions. Why shouldn't you? Because it's not going to come out in the report the way you said it.
Okay.
If it helps you, he's not going to put it in the report. Why should he?
Right.
If it hurts you in any way, it can be seen that way, it is going to be in the report. That's important because it tells the DA whether to file the charges or not. And this police officer, 6 months from now, when he's testifying, can't remember this case. He doesn't remember a thing about the case. He's going to testify based on what he wrote in the report. And there'll be nothing but the incriminating things in there.
Okay.
The exonerating things, the things the client did right, he can honestly testify it didn't happen. In the sense that he cannot remember because it's not in the report.
So anything you say essentially becomes crib notes later on for the officer in court?
Like the FSTs, the field sobriety tests, it tends to work in one direction only.
Okay.
The third thing is, and this gets a little more complicated, Don't take the PAS test, the PAS PBT. PAS is the passive alcohol sensor, PBT is preliminary breath test.
Right.
Same thing. It's used, different terms are used. In California, it's usually a PAS, called a PAS test. This is complicated because increasingly, as I said, PAS devices are permitted into evidence.
Right.
In Orange County, for example. That means you do have to take it after you've been arrested. That's the key. If it's been given before, then it's being used as a screening device and you have no legal obligation to take it, and don't. They're highly inaccurate.
Oh, okay.
And they cannot help you. Okay. If you come in low and he wants to arrest you, he's going to arrest you anyway.
Really?
And then take you to the station and give you a breath or blood test. So don't take it unless you're under 21 years of age.
Okay.
And the law permits the PAS test as a primary evidentiary breath test. And refusing to take it is a refusal, which carries
Okay.
a lot of consequences you don't want.